Hello and welcome to GM Talks, where we have another exciting episode for you. As after another long wait, we will look at a game I played at the Weissenhaus GM tournaments, a very strong tournament. I should probably not have participated. I was the oldest guy there, and there was like 5 young players and 4 professional GMs, and then me. But I decided to go anyway, and I'm probably in better chess shape than I have been for a very, very long time. Anyway, today we're going to look at awareness in chess, a sense of danger, because I notice when I lose, it's usually because I make one careless move at some point during the game where I'm not thinking, and it's not usually not. Sometimes, of course, you miscalculate and so on, but it's often because you don't sense that this is the moment where you have to be careful, and you are actually in risking losing the game. So let's get into the game. It was played in the first round where I was very seriously rusty, which shows I'm playing against Kaido Kulauts, as a strong GM from Estonia. I would say a friend of mine. We had a lot of talks during the tournament. He's a nice guy. I've probably met him in like 20 countries or something like that. Anyway, but of course, when we meet on the board, it's not like friends, it's for blood. And I play knight c3. And the reason I play this, I don't believe it's a good move, but I thought that it's a bit unpleasant for black, and I was sure that Kaido was not very well prepared for this Yobova style of chess, and I've had some problems in blitz with this line, so I said, why not give it a try? It cannot be that bad. In the old days, I used to play the Chigorin in the Queen's Gambit, and it's a little bit like that, just with one more tempo and makes it more solid, right? D5, preventing, of course, if it doesn't go D5, I will go E4, but after classical sort of thoughts, the knight is misplaced here because it blocks this pawn here on c4. So you can't play the Queen's Gambit with c4 anymore. You have to do something else. And it's more or less in the way. Bishop f4, always a nice square for the bishop after d4. c5, the best move in my opinion. After something like e6, you can actually go with this, because after bishop to a5 is not really fantastic, and the knight is misplayed on this square. So I think c5 is the best move. Now this is just bad because of queen a5 check hitting the knight. So c5 is a good move. e3, threatening knight b5, and he takes, and knight b5, queen a5 is not good here. Again, it's a mistake, so he has to play. I had to take back, and now he plays a6 and prevents this sort of beginner-like maneuver with knight b5. Anyway, this was also what I do with black, and knight f3. Best move, I think. Some people play something weird with knight e2 and f3. I don't believe it. I think you played one weird move. Now you have to start playing normally, otherwise you will get into trouble. Bishop g4 is the most common move, and a3. If he goes to h5, I will definitely move forward here with something like this, and followed by h4, and that's very unpleasant for black, I believe. So you can't do this. You're behind in development, so you have to, after h3, you have to take, and that's a slight victory for white, getting the bishop pair. Queen takes, of course, the other move is too ugly. e6 and castle queenside. I kind of like castling queenside when to make a fight here, but of course it's also dangerous, and I could try to normalize my position somehow with a3 or something. Bishop b4, interesting move. I don't think it's the normal move. King b1, I'm just getting out of the way and covering this pawn, and maybe I will play a3 at some point. And here I played a little bit strange move, knight b d7. Interesting. That's, I think, not normal. This is not what you usually do in these positions. And the knight is slightly misplaced here. It is probably better here on c6. You can just sense that something is weird here. But of course, if it goes here and it jumps into some of the squares, it could be interesting. I played g4. I think the computer prefer a3 here. I was not very happy to sort of give him a target on the queen side, but it might be better to just go a3. I think the computer think white is clearly better after a3 because it sort of makes his position a little bit clumsy. d4, by the way, is of course the natural way of the order of the things, and I'm basically threatening to go d5 and push him back and making a pawn stone on the king side. Rook c8 and rook d3, and I kind of like this. I thought it was very elegant. I'm not so sure now that this is a good idea. It felt very good when I played it, but in hindsight, it's not fantastic. Not a mistake either. I think knight b6, and we see his idea. He basically wants to attack on the queen side. By the way, Coulouts is a very aggressive, dynamic player, and I was hoping, but I think he sometimes goes a little too far with his aggression, and I was hoping for that anyway. d5 is a very natural move, pushing his knight away and getting ready to attack a knight fdc and a rook e3. So I'm basically getting ready to do something. I thought that was very clever, preventing knight c4 and so on. I'm not so sure now. I think a3 is the move here today. I would play a3 in this situation, just resolving the situation on the queen side, and I think white has an advantage after a3. So rook e3, clumsy move. You can sort of feel that it's clumsy, and that's actually something you get that. You might have some danger here. There's might something wrong somehow. Castle, and here I more or less instantly played this move, which is huge mistake. So why is this a huge mistake? That's the question. Why is h4 a huge mistake? Because this is what I want to do. I want to play h4, h5, g6, and so on, and just go after his king. So that's what I want. What you often should ask yourself when you're playing chess is not what you want, but what your opponent wants. And what does my opponent want? He wants counterplay. And how can he get counterplay after h4? Well, taking on c3 is not good. I'll just have a very strong bishop pair and so on, and I can slowly obstruct his knights and so on. But there is a big problem with h4. And the problem is that, it's more or less a losing move, which sounds crazy, but is not. The problem is this, and that he has a lot of things on the c3. So black found a very strong move here, and you probably found it already. He played e5. Oosh. That was a cold douche. The problem is clear. Of course, something like this really sucks. And there's no pin because the knight is here. So I'm just losing here, basically. There's no nothing to say. So, but I could take with the bishop on d4, and that would, according to computer, would have been better. He takes back again. Something like this is disastrous. I think very unpleasant, and I'll end up with a horrible weak queen. So instead, I've decided, okay, I have to go for some sort of positional compensation and get a few pawns for it and hope for the best. And that's what I did. So I took on d5, just say, okay, I'm losing probably, but I have some chances here. And rook b3. And the thing is, this bishop is now not very good, but of course he's a piece up, and this is a real game. It's not like a blitz game. So of course I should be losing after bishop d6, take, and queen takes. But okay, I might get a third pawn here, and we will be in the game. He played knight c4, reasonable move, and take, and c3. And I'm of course hoping if I get this pawn, I have some compensation. And at the same time, this bishop is not very good. It's obstructed by all my pawns and his own pawn. But objectively speaking, this is losing for white. Okay. A5, of course, you want to keep the pawn, and I was hoping to do something here. Queen d5, again, I'm playing basically on positional compensation, trying to dominate the white squares and just ignore the black squares where my pawns are. Rook c8, rook a4, making sure this pawn goes nowhere. It stays on a black square. I don't want a4, a3. Rook e8, activating the pieces can't be that bad. Rook c1. So I'm hoping that these guys will create some counterplay and enough to get a draw. Yeah, bishop c7. Trying to exchange the queens, and I say, okay, you can exchange the queens. It's okay. I will get some compensation, and but of course he doesn't want to exchange it in that way. So he's just covering his pawn, and he's going after this pawn now. And I'm trying to run, and he goes in, and it's also the right move. And rook cd8, queen c6, and here he basically blunders. If he plays something smart like bishop d6, and I can take this, but he will get this one down here, I believe, and here it's just not good enough. He just, even though I have 4 pawns, the f pawn will be very strong. But he played queen e6, and also he was running short of time, and that's a natural move. Of course, I have to take. And he could take back with the rook. I think I still have some compensation, but of course it's probably not enough. I'll play something like rook b7 or rook c5 or something, and again hope for the best. He took with the pawn. I think that's slightly wrong. Give him a weak pawn and make his pawns even more inflexible. Rook c5. And rook e1, and it's easy to play these positions here. I have some compensation here, and the computer does not like it. Want me to play h5. It's probably correct. Still, this is not something you should not lose this always. Rook d5, rook c6, and attacking e5, and that's a mistake. Because I can actually attack his. He can't take on d4. He's not threatening anything because this one hangs, and now the king is coming, and suddenly I'm getting serious counterplay. And he continues to play sub-optimum. And here I have this move, and now I'm back in the game, and I'm not losing anymore, I think. And he plays another mistake, g6, and here I'm actually better now. It's check, and he has to be very careful suddenly. h6, and here rook e6 is a mistake. I should play rook b6 with very serious counterplay. Dangerous position for black. This pawn is extremely dangerous. I played this move, and he played back, and he should play something with take and rook f5 or something, and rook f6, king g8, and we took a draw here. Again, rook b6 was a serious move, but I was, to be honest, I was very happy not to lose this game, because after e5, I'm basically dead. Let's go back to that position after e5 and see, for instance, if I do something like this, which was, of course, what I didn't calculate e5. I didn't look at e5 at all. I just played h4 without thinking. But this is really, really seriously bad. After knight a4, and he's just coming with everything, and this king is just dead. I will be totally destroyed here. I couldn't find any kind of defense. I was thinking for a long time, and decided, okay, it's better just, well, like they say in the old Highlander movie, it's better to burn out than fade away. And so I went down in flames, I thought, but I actually managed to get a lucky draw. And Kulotz had some very unstable results, and this was very typical for it. He didn't get enough point as many as he should have, but sometimes that happens. But note to myself, this h4 without thinking is really dumb. You have to look. You have to be careful. You have to check it. Just don't move, especially in a long game where you sit there, you go one move, careless move, and then he goes e5 after a long think, and then whoa, and you're sitting there. Anyway, this was a comeback video for DM Talks. We are also working on chess.ninja. You can find something in the notes. Thank you for watching.